the journey is the way, or the journey is the goal, or whatever they say, whatever Zen thing people say when they climb mountains and do yoga.
Yeah.
You know. If you're starting right now, low budget, I would say take your iPhone because you probably have a newer one. The camera on that shit is amazing. Like, all iPhone cameras are pretty great. I would say focus on lighting and composition first. Make 10,000 beats and keep putting them out there in the world, and like people will come to you and you'll know which stills are right when they feel weird. Like if you have a conversation with somebody and you feel like, am I getting finessed right now? You are. And then like the big secret, the cheat code, in my humble opinion, is the more together you are as an artist, the more you're not concerned about what they're up to and you are concerned about what you're up to, the stronger you are.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about building an engaging audience as a producer in the modern age. And we'll be going over a couple different things like your streaming setup, the nitty gritty and how you do it, as well as kind of building your brand as a producer. But before we get into all of that, do you want to just do a little introduction to who you are and how long you've been doing this?
Yeah, man. So what up? I'm Chris. Stolen Drums is, what people on the internet call me. Drums, if you're cool. I'm a nerd. I make beats. I watch cartoons. I don't play video games as much as I used to, but essentially I've built a career on leaning into the stuff that I'm into, just being myself. And I found people resonate with folks who are themselves. So, we've been able to build a pretty fantastic community around just that. So there's a couple different spaces that I'm working in. Live streaming is a big part of my business. But I've also been fortunate enough to kind of be a part of two other things. One, Sidechain. Another week, another session. We are Sidechain. And one, Controller Rods, which is a collective of producers as well, and DJs and dancers and 100 other things that we'll get into. That's one of those like life-changing stories. So I'm definitely going to dive deep. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Beat nerd, guy who watches too much anime.
Your elevator pitch, I love it. Like I said, we're going to start out by talking about the nitty-gritty of your setup. Prior to us getting into that, I kind of just wanted to ask, when did you start putting yourself out there and doing content like this as a producer?
I've been a music person for as long as I can remember, but I took a hiatus from, I would say, quote, like professionally doing music for a bit. And around 2015, 2016, I started again. No clue on how the landscape worked, no clue on how to present or promote or get music out to people or anything like that. So I was literally making stuff at my house and then I was sending it to folks on my text message. So I would text all my friends, check out my new beat, and I would just send it to them. And then, they would be like, oh, that's cool for like the first couple of days, but I was really going at it, So like after about a week, it was like, hey man, you are killing my storage on my phone. Like you keep sending me WAV files to my text and they're like 50 meg a piece. So like now I'm like out of space, I can't take pictures anymore. So can you like not maybe send me a link or something? And then once I got that feedback, it was like, I need to find a different way to do this. And I want to say I was reading, I wish I could remember the name of the damn blog, but somebody had referenced Facebook Live was the new thing, just having some photography experience. I was like, okay, I could do that. Why not? So I did one and they got ridiculous response. And from that point on, it was just, I was hooked.
That's awesome. And so your first ever live stream on Facebook did really well?
It did like 100,000 impressions.
Wow, man, that's very impressive.
It was, like they say like tech works and like, I hate this, like kind of sounds corny, but like in waves, right? Mm-hmm. So I was ahead of the curve in a sense because like this was people talking about a beta product that was cool to get into, and I started using it like right when that beta ended. So like the second it was okay to do lives, I was on it doing them. Yeah. And yeah, it was just Facebook was pushing that thing at the time and it went everywhere.
And so going from that, your first ever Facebook live stream, how has things evolved for you? I mean, what was it like the first time versus now?
Man, the first time was so embarrassing. You can find that shit. It's still on Facebook. Like if you look back
in the description as well.
In the trenches far enough, it's still there. But the first time was like a phone sat at a cool angle. And like literally the audio was just the audio from like the air. Like it was just the audio from the room. Yeah. So it wasn't like nice, but I was intentional with my framing, at least. And yeah, it's still pretty ratchet though. But like you could see the progression. Like I eventually was like, okay, I need to use my camera. How does that even work? So I did a bunch of research and was like, okay, I had this old Sony A6000. I still got it actually. And I used that. I added that to the mix. Then I got a better lens. And then it was like, I need better sound. So let me use my sound card for sound. And it just progressed and progressed and progressed. And then I figured out you can color grade in the program I was using. It's like, oh, wow, color grade in here now. So here we are. Now I'm using like a movie camera. Like, yeah, man.
Filters on your lenses, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
You kind of already touched on like the progression of how you've put together the 6 studio that you're sitting in right now. But I did want to go over kind of the tangible tidbits that people can look at when they're wanting to start a live stream like you have right now. So if we could go over kind of the legitimate equipment that you use, like this from everything from the software to your microphone to the lighting that you have in there as well. Kind of walk through all of that and give some people some insight into what you're using.
Absolutely. Microphone is Shure SM7B.
And so I don't mean to interrupt, but I've seen that evolve over time as well. Like you had
for sure,
like 3 different microphones since I've started talking to you. So what has led you to this one ultimately?
It's just trying to find the right mic for your voice. So I have a very kind of like sibilant, kind of mid-heavy voice, and I wanted to find something that smoothed that area out a bit. And the Shure worked fairly well with doing that. But I had an RE20 for a bit. It's a little bit more like mid up front, mid forward, I guess is the term. It would give me like a little bit of harshness. It gave me more radio than rapper. And I still kind of want to sound like a rapper because I make hip hop. So like I like that aesthetic. I wanted to sound a certain way. So I like this sound, at least this week. I may end up with another mic in another week and shit, but this one's good for now. I had another, I want to say, Spirit Origin, I want to say. That one was good, but it's a condenser microphone. And this is literally a tool shed in the back of my house. Like I'm in my backyard in a little shed. So the sound in here is treated. Like I put, stuff on a wall, for lack of a better term. Acoustic treatment, burlap and insulation, like acoustic insulation up all over this place. So it sounds pretty good, but it's not professionally treated. Like I didn't have an acoustician come in here and do all the stuff. So like I'm still picking up some stuff like that I'm not 100% a fan of when I'm using the condenser. So I wanted to go dynamic to get rid of that and then kind of like reject the off-axis stuff, right? So like the back of the room or a fan that was running or whatever, all that other stuff. I needed to get rid of that. So dynamic was the way. From this guy, I'm going into an Apollo. It's like an old Apollo 8. And then there's a crazy chain of UAD equipment that would probably cost me my entire house if I bought in real life. So like shout out to them for, allowing us to get the emulations in here. But yeah, so I'm going into like a Neve, from the Neve into a distressor, from the distressor into like a SSL channel. Like how much would that cost you in real life? But that's the signal chain for the microphone. For the camera, Blackmagic Pocket 6K, which is the best camera I've ever had in my house. Yeah. And then on the front of it is a 18-35 from Sigma, the 1.8. Amazing lens, super versatile. You get the zoom is parafocal, so like no matter where you zoom, it stays in focus. Shout out to that guy. Doing the black Pro Mist on the front of it, just to kind of soften the lights, give it a little bit of that blooming effect. What else is in here that's really important? Oh, the capture card. Very important, obviously. Capture card is a Blackmagic as well. It's the mini, I want to say mini capture or mini recorder. It's just probably the highest quality conversion that I've seen for a capture card. It's not 4K, it's 1080 still, but it's a beautiful 1080. Yeah. And then what else is in here? So this is interesting. I got a mini DSP sound card for my streaming rig. There's 2 separate computers, right? One is my music computer. I do all my stuff on, process audio, make beats, boop, boop, boop. And then the other one is completely dedicated to streaming. It's not a really fast computer. It's not super, it's like a used iMac I got off Craigslist, but it has a discrete video card. And that's super important with like 4 gig of RAM or something like that. But then I used a mini DSP card for it because it's the Streamer B from them. But I did it because it has a digital in. So exactly what I'm making is exactly what the stream hears without any kind of degradation or like audio conversion. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
also important. Yeah, and that's pretty much the setup. Everything else is like, you know, what I'm using to make music with. It's Ableton and things of that nature. Of course, the Atom Audios, you know what I mean? The headphones, you know, obviously. It's pretty much the streaming stuff.
That's quite the setup, I must say. It's impressive what you've built up over the years and how, you know, it's turned into something that looks and sounds really nice. But when people are starting out, what do you suggest for them? I mean, is it necessary to have a bunch of equipment like that to start out streaming, or can you just do it like with like you said, the phone, nice angle?
Yeah, you absolutely can do it with your phone. Here's the thing, right? Like, so if you're starting right now, low budget, I would say take your iPhone, because you probably have a newer one. The camera on that shit is amazing. Like, all iPhone cameras are pretty great. I would say focus on lighting and composition first. Get that down to a science where you need it. Set up your phone. OBS works that you can run like USB from your phone into OBS and use it as a camera, legit as a camera. Color graded, the whole nine. Wow. And then I would suggest grabbing a second sound card from like, you know, Behringer makes a cheap one for like $20. It's just like 2 RCANs, that's it. But you can take your outputs or headphone output or whatever and feed into that. So now you have a completely separate sound card from your stream, for your stream, and you have a camera set up, you know, even if it's an iPhone, but set it up as, you know, as good as you can. And focus, like I said, on lighting and composition. That's 90% of the thing. It's audio first, in my humble opinion. And then right after that is lighting and composition. And then after that, it's like what lenses and cameras and all of that.
And you mentioned earlier kind of how media kind of goes in waves. So we're now in 2021, and I know on YouTube, like the producer community, I know a lot has changed there as far as like, you know, type beats aren't necessarily what, you know, producers can do to get big nowadays.
Right.
So do you see streaming and this sort of interactivity and building a community as the, you know, as a good way for producers to get their name out there and start, you know, going forward with that?
That is the thing. It's like, so we have these conversations about like branding and promotion and reach and all of the stuff. If I'm honest, none of that means anything. None of it at all whatsoever. Like, humans are communal beings, right? The only thing that matters to us is community. So like, if you create a product and you don't have a community, you can't sell it. If you create art and you don't have a community, nobody sees it. You play basketball and you don't have a community, there's nobody to play with. Like, it's all about community, 100% for me. It's all about other people. So like, when I'm creating and when I'm making content or when I'm making products or whatever I'm into, it's all 100% to serve the community, the culture, if you will, or the culture, right? But like, my intent is always to serve that, because I know for sure, like, the people are going to take care of me more so than anything or anybody else. Like, there's no company that can match what the people are going to do for you. There's no thing that you can have. There's no product. There's no fancy anything that you can make or have that's going to do better by you than the people. They'll always look out for you. That whole 1,000 true fans thing is real. Like, it's real as concrete, bro. Like, that's everything. I don't really have any placements. I haven't released a whole like a album in years. I'm not like super prolific on creation. I'm not the best live streamer in the world. I'm not always here on time. I'm not here on a regular schedule, but I have a community, and that community is so strong, bro.
Yeah.
So that would be the biggest thing for me if I was to pass some like advice to anybody, is just focus on being a good part of your community. Yeah. Not necessarily building your own, and just being a good part of yours, and it'll pay you back 1,000-fold.
Well, you kind of already answered the question I had up next, which was, is branding as a producer as important as some people say it is? But you don't.
That community shit, man, is always going to be the thing. Like, and then like leaning into yourself, like whatever it is that you do, like, you know, whatever you're into, just leaning into that and being you. I think that's the most important thing you can do outside of building your community, is just being yourself. Because it's like, where else can you get the thing that you do from? Like, if you're amazing at, I don't know, whatever, fiddlesticks, I don't know, whatever. But if you lean into that and you just perfect that thing that you're great at, like, nobody can compete with you at being you, right? And then nobody else can get the thing that you do from anybody else. It's yours. It's you. It's what makes you unique.
Yeah.
So like, you know, trying to figure out, it's like the whole type beat thing, to reference that, right? Try and do what somebody else is doing to gain success. In my mind, like, it's a waste of time. Because like, if you get success doing that, now you're stuck doing this other thing that you're not even into.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it, then you could have just did you like the whole time, and like you would have been great doing yourself. So yeah, I always say focus on yourself and just be a fire part of your own community.
Have you always been this comfortable on camera doing live streams, or at the beginning were you pretty nervous? And coming from producers that typically are homebodies and people that just create in their bedrooms, it can be a lot for them to kind of just put themselves out there online. So how is that process for you, and what do you suggest for people that might be interested in starting it?
I just act like there's not a camera. Like I act like I'm talking to my friend, and the majority of the time that's what it feels like, because the comments that come in are things that like my friends will say. So like I'm like, we're all homies, we're all family here. So it's funny because like the people that write in the comments, like the more I engage them regular, like the less filters, the less goofy shit that I do to try and act professional or be a certain way, the more like the deeper their connection is, to where I meet people in real life and I notice that we feel like we already know each other, but like literally it's just been me talking to their comments for like the last year or whatever. But we're already tight. Like we just pick up right there. But yeah, I just act like there's not a camera there. And if that's not for you, like if you don't want to be on camera, do the thing that is for you. Like maybe you just want to put your camera on some trees in the woods, or like maybe you want to play cartoons or video games instead of having your face up there. Maybe you want to, whatever you're into, man, show a fish tank, like whatever your thing is, That's why that leaning into you is so important,
You said that you're not the most consistent as far as timing, days of the week that you're streaming and stuff like that. Do you still see that as important, or do you just do what you do and your community is always there and it doesn't really matter what time of the week you post or do anything?
I do my best.
Yeah.
And that's what I would suggest to anybody else. Do your best. I've tried to keep a very rigid schedule, and I noticed my personal life struggle. I got a wife and 2 kids and a whole house, mortgage, bills, insurance, all that stuff. So like me saying I'm going to stream every day at 5 o'clock sounds really great until I need to take my kid to Little League or Boy Scouts, or my wife needs me to, go pick up some stuff from a place or whatever have you. And now it's in the way, and now I'm beefed out with my family, who are the most important people on the planet to me. So that's not an option. So, I stream when I can. That's, what's the word that I'm looking for? Sustainable for me. And sustainability is going to trump consistency every time, in my opinion, because like you can be very consistent for 2 weeks, but if you can't sustain that, then it's dead. Yeah. But if I'm doing what I can sustain, I can do this for years. This feels great. I love it. It's therapy for me now. So I can do this for the next 10 years, no problem. Even if it's not the most consistent, and maybe I could, tighten up a couple things and grow faster, but I'm not concerned with growth. I'm concerned with community and quality and just doing my best by the people that pay attention. So I feel like it'll grow like it's supposed to. I'm not going too much press about, the numbers, if you will. I'm more concerned about the vibe.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I think producing nowadays has also almost become like just a race to like get to the right SEO on your videos or keywords or whatever. And so, how have you kind of balanced the enjoyment of it? And it's not even how you balance it. You already said it. It's impressive how you just sort of like, it's going to do what it does. It's going to grow if it does, and you're not stressing out about SEO or. I feel like in today's day,
there's a phenomenal book called The War of Art that I would suggest everybody read. It's a really good book. I just started reading it, by the way. I don't want to act like I fucking did. It's a great book so far, though. It speaks about this idea of resistance, being anything that gets in front of you, being able to create. It's really dope. This cat's a Marine. I didn't even know he was a Marine, but anyway, read the book. It's really dope. There is another book that I read as a precursor to that one called, I'm going to jack this title up, but I think it's called The Curse of an Artist. And this one kind of talks about the same concepts, but in a different way. The reason I bring both of these books up is they keep going over this idea of the artist and the businessman. And the artist is one who creates for the sake of creating. The artist is the one who's comfortable and at peace and happy sitting in here working on the same chord progression for 10 hours, trying to figure it out. Yeah. Or sampling drums from records. There's literally probably a couple thousand records in this room. And I may just sit in here for a day and sample snare. There's an open snare. Oh, that one sounds great. Like, look at this kick. Oh, wow, that's a crazy kick. Can't wait to use that one. I'll sit in here and do that for like a day, no problem. Like I'll just sit in here and do that. And I got friends that are like, why would you ever I can go to Splice and this will be done in 30 seconds, bro. And it's like, it will. But, you know, it's not mine. Like, I just want to create. I want to make. And that shit is, the journey is the way. Or the journey is the goal. Or whatever they say. Whatever Zen thing people say when they climb mountains and do yoga.
Yeah.
You know. But that part, man, you know, find peace in what you do and be an artist. Like, lean into that art.
And I know earlier you mentioned that placements aren't necessarily your goal, doing production and stuff like that, but have you had success in that realm, you know, as your community grows, or is that something that you're not really focused on?
You know what's crazy? Like, I'm not focused on it, but I've done okay. What we get? I got Mick Jenkins, Made in Tokyo. I got a Griselda placement this year. I'm working on another one. Sky Zoo. I know I'm missing some people that I'm not thinking about. I send a bunch of music to a bunch of my favorite artists ever in the world, which is awesome. To be able to send like people you admire stuff. Yeah. And then collaboration projects with a bunch of people I look up to also. So I did okay. I'm not in a bad place with the placement thing. It's just not a focus for me. Like, it's one of those things, just like growth or numbers or anything else. Like, it'll do what it's supposed to. Like, I'll have opportunities and sometimes they work out and it's amazing. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I fumble the ball. Sometimes they fumble the ball, whatever. Like, it's a human experience. So, like, however it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. But, you know, I'm happy about the ones that come in for sure. Like, that shit is an honor, a blessing, you know?
Yeah, when it comes to placements and things, even though it's not maybe your number one focus at the moment, but what would you suggest to a producer that's, you know, starting to release their music online? Like, how do you even get a placement nowadays? Like,
90% of my placements came from somebody who saw an ad that I had on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Or somebody I knew when I was doing photography, or some other relationship that was pre-existing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of. Now, I only had one that came from out of nowhere, like literally one.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking this cat probably saw me on a playlist or something. But yeah, I wasn't pressed. Just do what you do. Lean into being awesome. Do awesome stuff, and people will find you. And then, like, the big secret, the cheat code, in my humble opinion, is the more together you are as an artist, the more you're not concerned about what they're up to, and you are concerned about what you're up to, the stronger you are to them. So, like, I remember early in my career, people would want to do stuff with me, and it was the energy was way different than now. It's this whole thing where it's like, come to the studio, we'll get you food, we'll take care of you, and all this. Like, all this comes from, like, me just being focused on building and, you know, being who I'm supposed to be and doing the things I'm supposed to be, like, do. And I'm not super pressed about placements. And I think because of that, you know, all this stuff works like it should. And then when they approach me, it looks right. It feels right. And it's like, oh, I need to respect this cat because he's moving in a certain way. He's not pressed about just trying to get something from me. Yeah. He's building his own thing. It's actually a good idea for me to work with him because there's a thing there, because there's a community, because there's a brand. I want to tap into what you're doing. Let's collaborate. That type of energy. Yeah. So that would be my suggestion. Just be great, you know, make 10,000 beats and keep putting them out there in the world. And, like, people will come to you and you'll know which steals are right when they feel weird. Like, if you have a conversation with somebody and you feel like, am I getting finessed right now? You are. Like, stop talking to them. Find somebody else to talk to. If you have a conversation and it feels awesome and you feel great about it, like, damn, this is awesome, I'm excited. That's some shit you should lean into. But if you feel like you're getting played, or if you feel like the little man, like you're getting chumped, you are. You should stop speaking, you know?
When it comes to Facebook ads, I mean, what is that? Why do you do Facebook ads? Just for the brand awareness, or?
I'm excited you asked me this question. This is a thing I'm very excited about. And I know Facebook is a giant multinational quasi-evil corporation, and I'm probably paying them substantial amounts of money by doing Facebook ads. And there's an ethical conundrum that I struggle with on a daily basis. However, they are an amazing tool. And I say that because there's no other thing that I can do to spend money on and sell a product and make money on my product, but then at the same time reach an audience I would never have access to. So imagine, if you will, you're a young producer and you make, let's say you're really good at processing vocal. That's your thing. You're a killer at the vocal. So you make vocal templates. This is a good one. I've seen people do this actually. You make vocal templates and you sell them $20 here's a vocal template that sounds like these 4 rappers that I love, you know? It's a Skyzoo, Elzai, let's say Westside Gun, and who's another completely different type of voice. I don't know, whoever that 4th person is. But you make these things and you get like, yeah, $20, you get all of them. All you gotta do is put your vocals in, make sure you hit the channel at a certain, you know, dB level, you know, you come in at this level. Everything else should pretty much fall into place as long as you're using some type of microphone, yada, 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 whatever. So you run Facebook ads against this thing. You spend $150 a day. And that sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. I'll explain why. And what you do, instead of just putting like, you know, hey guys, do you want to get your vocals? Instead of doing that, you do something different. You just put the best beat that you've ever made in your life up there, and you know, the best rap that you've ever rapped, or your friend doing the same thing, and that's your ad. So now people see you being your most authentic self, being as great as you can possibly be at mass, right? You spend $150 a day, you get 20,000 impressions a day. These are 20,000 impressions of people that would have never seen you. They don't know you exist, but they hear your music, they love your vibe, they follow you, you guys have conversation, you get press, you get media, you may get placements, whatever. All of this stuff happens that's supposed to happen. And you make money. You didn't lose it. So you got all of that for free, which, you know, sounds kind of like, you know, whatever, opportunistic, but it is what it is. Like, you got all of that for free. You created a product that helped people, which is amazing. That's the thing we should be doing all the time anyway. The product is selling and you made money. It's like, it's amazing. It's like, I can't believe this shit works. Like, it's like the Matrix, man. Like, I can't believe this is a thing that we can do as individuals right now. Like, I'm flabbergasted that I don't see more Facebook ads from people, like individual people selling things. Like, that's the number one thing I tell people. Like, figure out a product, run ads against it. Don't make an ad. Don't try and be commercially. That's weird. Don't sell me stuff, dude. Like, that's the most weirdest thing when I'm on Facebook and somebody's trying, or Instagram. I'm never on Facebook, but when I'm Instagram scrolling and somebody's actively trying to sell me a thing, the last thing I want to do is buy it. You're selling me something. It's an ad. I'm scrolling. But just do something really dope and make that your ad. And some people will buy it, and that's cool. Whatever. If you make money, you break even. That's cool. But it's just being able to have that audience that's just always churning, always reaching out to new people. That's amazing. That's what you want. And you can tell Facebook who to reach out to. Like, hey, I want to find, you know, I know for sure that the people that like my music, like this guy's music, wear these type of clothes and are around his age. So please go show this to all of those people. And it'll do it.
Is it just Facebook ads because you can do like, they show up on Instagram too because they own Instagram and all that stuff?
Exactly. I run almost exclusively on Instagram. I very rarely run anything on Facebook. No disrespect to Facebook, you know, but I just don't, the audience doesn't resonate with what I do. Like, I just don't, it doesn't make sense for me to do that. So I'm on Instagram. I think the content that I create is more Instagram friendly, maybe.
So let's talk about networking and how you've helped build up these organizations like Sidechain and all these other things that you're involved in. And so if you could give a little backstory to what those are and how they started and what they're doing in Atlanta for the beat community.
Absolutely. So the first one, I want to start with Controllerize. Controllerize is the first beat community I had the pleasure and honor of being a part of. And basically, this started, I want to say 2016, 17. A friend of mine, his name is Black Hughes, super dope producer. He reached out to me and he was like, hey man, I keep seeing you on Facebook doing these live streams. It's really cool. I thought you were in like LA, but I found out that you were actually in Atlanta. I want to do a beat show in Atlanta. And like, this is like my first one. He had did it before with another crew, but they broke up and stuff. He was like, I would love for you to come out and play. And I was like, yo, I want to do my show in real life regularly. Like, it would be so dope for us to work together. If you know the city like that, because I'm not hip. I'm an internet dude. I'm on the internet all the time. At this point in time, I didn't know Atlanta like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I lived here, but I didn't know like what nightclubs and venues and DJs and all of that. I wasn't really like super tied into that community. Like, I knew a couple people from photography, but not really. But yeah, I'm like, yo, let's do one. So we linked up, went to the coffee shop. He's a graffiti artist as well, so he came up with some cool art. And then I made I'm an internet dude, so I made the website, and you know, we came up with the first kind of like, you know, here's how we're going to do the Facebook ads for the show, Facebook ads once again, and then you know, we came up with the whole kind of like look and feel of the brand, and the name Controllerized we came up with that day. It was like controllerism is what we wanted to call it. I'm glad we didn't, because it's kind of corny, but like Controllerized sounded cool. Controllerism wasn't available, so we got that. Then the Japanese kanji up under it. We came up with this whole thing in like 8 hours at a coffee shop. It's a Korean coffee shop. We just sat there and noodled it all out, man. And then once we got it done, like once we had freaking burnt our brains out figuring it all out, we rolled it out. First show, 100 people showed up.
Wow.
Not a whole bunch of people, but it's 100 people. That's they paid money to get in. We made money the first show. And I was like, oh, dude, we have to do this again. Like, this has to be regular. But the venue that we worked at, it was a little, it wasn't quite, you know, the right one for what we were doing. So we had to search and find another venue. So then we brought in a third partner. His name was Mike Sick. And he was like the host of the show. He's hosting shows in the city for a long time. He brought us to this other venue. And from that venue, we grew to like 100 to like 200 or 300 over the course of a few months. Then we did a couple festivals, and it just went crazy, man. 3 years later, we had traveled the world. We've been in Vibe magazine. We've been all types of press, played festivals all over the country, outside the country, international stuff. Like it was amazing. But like more than any of that shit, like it kind of reinforced this idea of community. Like my understanding of what community meant, I learned during that phase. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like the stuff that I was doing on the internet kind of faded away, and I really leaned into Controllerized, being like a contributing person in this community and like trying to do everything that I could to grow it. I do, you know, ad assets and design stuff and sweeping the floors and mopping and whatever, you know, security, DJ. Like I'm literally the guy that you call when a thing happens. It doesn't matter what the thing is, but if a thing happens, I'm the guy.
Like, many hats.
But yeah, so like just I learned so much in that environment about how music sounds and how it affects people in real life. And like I ended up DJing for like a year because we didn't have a DJ. And like, you know, being able to do that, to understand how people like really react to certain things, it kind of changed the way I created. It changed everything for me. So I that's another thing I highly suggest, is just getting out in real life and like bouncing what you do off of someone and getting the actual human reaction to the art that you create. There's nothing that can really replicate that. There's no online experience that is equivalent to like having an authentic real life conversation with somebody, or just playing something and watching them move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even if they just nod their head and smile a little bit, like that reaction is priceless. You know, you learn so much from just that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, fast forward at the height of what we're doing 500 to 600 people a week. I bring House Shoes and Shingo 2 from Nujabi. So essentially I got Dilla's legacy and Nujabi's legacy. They both passed, rest in peace, in the room at the same time. This was our final show. 800 people we have in the room at this point. Wow. Shout out to my buddy Slap Funk Dust. He's a representative from another crew called Session In that I've been doing some stuff online with. But all these people in the room at the same time, people are literally doing backflips. There's anime, there's food vendors, there's a whole arcade, there's a theater, there's 2 DJ situations, like one inside for music vibes, one outside for just beats. Like it's a festival, literal festival at this point. Every week on Monday. It's on Monday.
On Monday nights.
Out of all freaking times. Take over a whole brewery. Like it's nuts. They wrote us up in Vibe. They said there's 2 things to do on Monday night in Atlanta. Magic City, Controllerized. Like we went from nothing to fighting with Magic City. Magic City is literally the most famous strip club in Atlanta. And we watch anime. And that's what it was like. You could do you could either go to the strip club or watch cartoons and play video games. Like that's amazing. But then COVID hit. And right after the biggest show we had ever had with 800 people, we couldn't do our show anymore.
Yeah.
Next day. Yeah. So it's dead, completely dead. Like my at this point, I'm pretty much dedicated my professional life to building this thing. And in a day, it's gone. Doesn't exist. So I have to do something, right? I have a wife and kids to feed. I have a mortgage to pay, which is backing up right now. And my bills are backing up right now. I have to figure this stuff out. Running out of savings very quickly. I thought about it and I was like, man, so if we could do that in public, we can do it online. By trying, you know, me and my buddies, we try and figure out how to get Controllerized to pivot to work online. It doesn't quite work. It's a real life thing, you know. We tried really hard, but it's not the same thing. The people who come want to be there in person. It just doesn't work out. So here I am. Like, I can't really get a job. It's COVID. We're all locked down. You know, I don't have a lot of products online. I don't have a lot of music online at this point. So I'm like, I know how to do things. It's pretty much the only thing I can offer right now. So I say, hey, you know, I create a product. It's called Sidechain Society. Back in the day, I used to have STLNDRMS Society. I used to like sample records and send them to people, but that was like not quite legal, and I didn't feel comfortable after a while, so I stopped. This shit's it's weird. I don't want to be a shady person, you know? So I'm gonna chill. But yeah, I was like, the society part of it sounds cool. And then sidechain, because if you're a producer, you know what a sidechain is. So now it's like, that's a really cool name. What do I do with it? So I was like, all right, well, if you join Sidechain Society, I'll tell you everything I know. That's pretty much all I had as far as the product was concerned. But it was like, okay, I got to make a Discord. So I'll make a Discord to go with the fact that I'm just going to brain dump everything I know. Then I was like, okay, I can't just do it all in one shot, like send you a 10-hour long video of just like, here's everything I know. Like, I can't do that. I'll break it into bite-sized pieces. So I was like, all right, every week I'll give you something else. And we'll talk about the things that we want. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And we're like, maybe we can hang out online and play beats for each other. So we, you know, I had been doing that with some other crews. I'm like, all right, so we'll do a Zoom session once a week where we play beats for each other. There'll be a Discord we can discuss, and then I'll brain dump once a week on something, you know, whatever people want. And then we can also take funds from membership dues and pay other people to do video, you know. So now it's becoming a thing, you know. So we rolled that out, and within like I want to say a month or two, we had about 150 people in that. I was like, okay, it's not my salary, or not my salary, but it's not what I was making with Controller Rods, but it's something. And then within another couple months, we were at about 300. That's where we are now, about 300 people deep. And it's, but like, the money stuff is cool. All that's great. But the thing that I found was really amazing was like the people that wouldn't be able to go to a Controller Rods, because either A, they were geographically somewhere else in the world, or B, they just didn't go out like that. These like really, really, like, this is a really focused community, like super producer focused, but we're able to talk about things like life. Like, what did you eat? Like, how's your diet? What books are you reading? Are you getting your like 10,000 steps in? Like all these different kind of lifestyle challenges. And like, it's almost become like a family now, to where like these 300 people are actively looking out for each other. And the beat stuff is tight and it's amazing. There's so much knowledge and information, like content and the sounds and just sharing in there is beautiful. But then there's like conversation about mental health on Thursdays. Like, I'm dealing with depression, fellas. What do you guys want? What do you think we should do? Or I'm dealing with like, me and my wife are like, whoop. How do I like these are real conversations I'm having with these guys about real life stuff. So now it becomes like a proper community, almost a fraternity, if you will, but for men and women, like women. But yeah, it becomes this community. Once again, we built this entire community where it's like a really safe space for all walks of life to come in, and through the lens of music, we were able to share like life experience, you know. But it's essentially what's happened at Controller Rods in real life happening online in this space. And it's interesting they kind of played out like that, but that's where we are now. Sidechain Society is the current thing that I'm working on. And then I think in 6 months or so, I'll be able to do both. We'll have Controller Rods in real life, which is a safe space for all walks of life, sex, color, creed, wealth, you know, orientation, all of that. Everybody's safe. Everybody comes through, hangs out. And then we'll have Sidechain Society for all the producers to be able to do the things that we do. And I'm really interested to see how the two will marry, you know? What that will look like.
That'll be amazing, man. I don't think you could have pivoted any better during this time, you know? That sounds awesome.
Divine order, my buddy says, man.
So if people are interested in, are you guys still like taking people on, or is like 300?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. It's open for whoever. Cool. I don't promote it super hard because like I'm a fan of letting it organically grow as it should, via word of mouth, things of that nature. It's not for everybody. I don't think everybody's going to, you know, enjoy it like that. So I don't want to press anybody, but it's obviously open if anybody wants to try it out. There's several benefits. You get every drum kit I've ever created in my life for free the second you join. That's a cool one. and then you get access to like some, I want to say like 35 or 40 videos that I've shot on different aspects. So like me freaking out about Facebook ads, there's a literal 2-hour long video series. Actually, I think there's a 2-hour long joint and then 2 other ones that are like an hour long piece.
Yeah.
About me breaking down literally how I did the ad campaign for the last product that I wrote out and why I did it like I did it, and how I shot, what lights I'm using, how I set them up, color, like everything that I know I've literally dumped into this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a much more in-depth version of this, I guess. I mean, I feel like we're getting an inside scoop here, man.
Every point that we've had, there's probably an hour-long video floating around.
Yeah.
About that point. Yeah. Why this mic? Yeah, there's probably an hour-long video about
the history of the
benefits of this mic.
Yeah. This has been really insightful, man. So I really appreciate you doing this with us. And we'll be sure to put everything like Sidechain Society, Controllerize, all that stuff in the description for anybody that might be interested.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
And I'm excited for COVID to be over for you guys to get back to it.
Man, you guys got to see it.
I know.
It is a life-altering experience.
We're only 3 hours up the road, you know? I mean, we could be down there in no time.
Yeah, right down the street. We need that. We need that.
Do you have anything else you want to add to the video before we sign off?
I do the same sign off regardless if I'm on stage in front of a couple thousand people or hanging out on the internet in front of my camera. It's the same. 3 things. Life is good. Time is precious. Make somebody smile because that shit is cool. Drink water. Eat fruit. Stay grateful.